There's a classic episode of The Office in which Jan finds out that Michael Scott has been showing clips of movies during working hours. She's understandably upset, and as a result, Dwight, the assistant to the regional manager, stages a coup. Goes to Jan and says he should be running the branch. Jan tells Michael. Michael lets Dwight play out his fantasy of being the boss before dropping the hammer at the very end of the episode. As we read this week's Parashat, Korach, the entire episode played in my mind. Korach, one of the Levites charged with assisting the priests, is angry that certain members of the community, the priests, are elevated above everybody else. He, along with Dathan and Abiram, openly defy the order that Hashem put in place, asking, "Why do you raise yourself above Hashem's congregation?" The end result is that Korach, Dathan, and Abiram and their families are swallowed up entirely. The earth opens, takes them down to Sheol, and the community is left as if they had never existed. The punishment was complete. It was total. Nothing was left. This parasha brings up interesting nuances regarding power and leadership. There's no doubt that, to some extent, Korach's criticisms are correct. Though all Israelites were said to have Hashem's protection, not everyone was afforded the same degree of responsibility. It was left to Aaron and his family to carry out Hashem's rituals and subsequently to the Levites to assist them in doing so. Now, when Dwight sought to oust Michael from his role as regional manager of Dunder Mifflin Scranton, did he just want a fairer workplace? Was he motivated by selfishness? Did Angela manipulate him? Power is a funny thing. There are those who crave it deeply from their bones and others who refuse it when it is offered. There are those who are natural-born leaders and those who want authority solely to lord it over other people. Last school year in my Divrei Torah, I spoke repeatedly about how we can view the Torah to some extent as a treatise on leadership. Moses, as the central character in the majority of the Torah, is shown to have, shall we say, a mixed track record of his own leadership. This is, after all, why he is not allowed to enter the Promised Land when we reach the end of the book of Dvarim. But here, I want to offer a different interpretation of Moses' behavior. I alluded to this briefly last week, but by this point in the narrative, the Israelites have seen manifest proof of Hashem's power. So their continuing to doubt Hashem's might feels certainly confusing. Korach's rant at Moses at the beginning of this parsha stems initially from anger at being sort of stuck in the wilderness. And in his anger, he has roped in Dathan and Abiram as well as their families, tying them together in their anger at Moshe. But here, I want to offer the fact that Moses offers good leadership. In Bamidbar Rabbah, we read that since Dathan and Abiram refused Moses' summons, he in fact goes to them, trying to make them see reason, trying to make them understand the sort of purpose of this hierarchy. And when they don't, they do pay the penalty. We all know leaders for whom ego plays the largest role. They're in it for the pomp, they're in it for the power. They are not in it simply to serve. The Talmud teaches us that true leadership requires selfless service to others. Even in the spirit of equality, society necessitates leaders, those whose power elevates them, even for a short time, above the rest of the community. But true leaders, those whom we should want to emulate, never leave their community. They remain part of it, serving, acting in the best interests of as many people as possible. I will return to this theme often over the next few months as we here in the United States try to choose our next leaders. And it's something you should keep in mind when hearing about those who seek to represent us. Intent isn't everything, but intent absolutely matters. Shabbat Shalom.